Hey everyone, and welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. My name is D-Free, and we are talking today about shadows, which ones are the best and how you can get new ones. I hope you all enjoy. Be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. The like goal for today's video is going to be 700. Let's see if we can hit 700. I challenge you to get us there. Also, speaking of subscription, make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the video. All right, so these are the shadows currently in the game. So Tusk is actually not available in the game. He will most likely be soon because they are starting to tease his dungeon and all that stuff, and it's the latest chapters and all that stuff. So he's right around the corner. Thankfully, though, we do have some other like data mines as it pertains to what he can do. So we do know a little bit about that. But for the most part, as he's not released right now, I am going to kind of just talk about it from the standpoint of the other four shadows, excuse me. So in terms of shadows, you will have to have completed chapter 9, I'm pretty sure, along with the job change quest for Sung Jinu to be able to even unlock those guys at all. And then once you do that, you do get Egress as a base. And outside of that, it does actually get kind of hard to get new shadows because it requires these traces, and traces are damn hard to get. Like they are really hard to get. So let's go ahead really quick and explain how you guys can get traces. All right, so the way that I personally, feel free to follow this advice if you want to. If not, that's fair. The way I personally am working on this is I'm leveling this up every chance I get. There's not much reason not to. This material doesn't seem to be used for anything other than leveling this up. So that's the way I kind of see it. I actually want to see what they get later on. Okay, it just keeps going up and up and up. My God, 2,000. It's extremely hard to come by. You basically will get this from doing gates. Let's see the source. Yeah, it says just gates, but anytime it says just one thing on the source, I'll have to mention that they can oftentimes be exchanged for things like that. And so when we look at the traces here, so traces are used to level up your shadows, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy considering the how hard it is to get the traces, and they're used to unlock. So 100 is needed to unlock these shadows, and then after that you get the shadow to use, obviously, but you will need more to level up the character. Now obviously you can use this material here, the blue version of this, to upgrade them as well further. These are also in gates, so gates become a very important form of content. But I wanted to move over to Battlefield of Time, because Battlefield of Time is particularly important when it comes to all of that stuff. So the way this works is this is a ranking mode, which I haven't done yet. You go in, you take on the boss, you try to register your best possible score, and then you get multiple rewards. So for example, we check out the rewards here. We're seeing these for the Shadow Army, the Shadow Energies, whatever they're called. We're seeing those are available here as well. That's why they're mentioned, I think, for Battlefield of Time. You see, in the group ranking rewards, you can get shadow traces. These are here. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not going to say it here yet. It just says enter a gate. So these are here as well, okay? So playing Battlefield of Time when you unlock it will exponentially improve the rate at which you unlock and level up your shadows. This becomes extremely vital to your progression. Now, again, we are looking at the group ranking. So currently in my group, only one person has registered their ranking, and they're pretty happy with that one. So we'll see how they wind up panning out. But nonetheless, everything that's kind of like a rank system in the game also incorporates a group ranking. But then there's also the overall rank, which I wouldn't worry too much about. I think looking at this is good to just kind of see what other people were using, see their times. This guy did it with 2 characters. That one seems a little kind of sketch to me, but whatever. But 18 seconds, I mean, this... How are you clearing this in 18 seconds? Are you using the West Wind? Is that what people are doing? I just gotta know. Unless it's a hacker, I just gotta know. If there's some legitimate way to do it, I just gotta know. Anywho, so nonetheless, clearing this is important, but I wouldn't worry too much about the overall ranking, because unless you're super sweaty, you're not gonna get up here. But they don't offer it anyway, actually, on hindsight, so I didn't even think about that. Now, if we go to the exchange shops, they oftentimes will also have them here. All the materials needed for enhancing of your shadows are available here. The unfortunate part is that the ratio here, 200 to 10, is like, that's kind of like, you know, I don't know. But hey, over time, this in conjunction with the group ranking rewards, with you also clearing some gates, will be a very effective way of unlocking a shadow once every few weeks, I guess. If you're a casual or average player, I would say probably once every few weeks you'll unlock a shadow. And also, I assume in the future they'll enhance that to where it's easier. Now let's go over to the gates, and we'll talk about that as well. But again, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Now, I personally, I've just been kind of running some random gates to just kind of get my dailies done. I just noticed I got 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 here. 4 fours. That's nice. But for the gates, they're in here. But I wouldn't recommend running any gates that are below A rank. First and foremost, see if they're on the stages, right? But I wouldn't recommend running any that are below A rank. And if we look at, let me actually rescan here. Let me rescan so I get some new gates. All right, so we have an A rank Hunter gate. They are here as well. We have A rank Sung Jinu. They're there as well. They're basically on any piece of content. The reason why I recommend running A rank, minimum A rank. You could run some B if you minimum A rank, right? Is because you can also kind of double dip here. So when you're mining, you get these soul essence for the A rank ones. Also, there's more experience here, so you're gonna level up your mining team level as well faster. So you're better. You get better rewards basically. 8 offers more, or excuse me, 8 is for S, so it offers more there. So you could take a little bit of double dipping basically. So that's kind of what I would recommend. I kind of covered this in a gate mining video that I also did, but again, if you're just trying to just blitz through this, you can run whatever you want, I guess. But they'll drop on these other stages. It's just going to be super rare. There's nothing in the game that tells you this, so we wouldn't know this without any sort of data mining or testing. But I believe that the higher rank / level stages you take on, the better your drop chances are. That just makes the most sense. That's typically how games are designed, right? But there's nothing in the game that says that. So that's pretty much it. So we talked about the Army of Shadows in today's video. My opinions on all of the hunters, the shadows, excuse me, as they pertain to the hunters and Sung Jinu, the way that they function, whether it was scaling the attack stat or off of defense or HP, things like that. We talked about Egress and how I think currently Egress is kind of the one that you would overlook. And if you wanted to keep Egress, you would just run these 3 on the left and then just kind of ignore Tank in my opinion for now, but come back. But shout out to Tusk. I did not see a data mine for him. I didn't look crazy hard though, because I figure he's going to come out at least on global launch, so I'll cover him more there. And as for if you wanted to upgrade a shadow currently with what we have available, I think Blades is the best shadow. If that wasn't clear, I think Blades makes the most sense. I think Blades is the best shadow. I think that he's the one that you invest in going forward as far as what we have currently in the game. But again, if there's more shadows in the future, 6 months from now, again, I just wanted to throw that disclaimer, right? So we covered basically also where you're going to be able to get the traces of shadows. By the way, they also don't list these in the source, but you can get that type of stuff in other locations too. I totally forgot to mention this. Some of that stuff's going to be here in challenges. You also in story content, I meant to mention this too, particularly around the chapters where you unlock Egress. They start giving you some of the traces. Okay, maybe chapter 9, I guess. I can't see the rewards, but I think it was chapter 9. In that area, they start giving you traces. I don't think they're still giving me traces, but they did start giving traces in here as well. So they're also going to be achievement rewards, you know, things like that. So they're kind of all over the place, sprinkled in. But the most consistent place you're going to get that stuff is from Gates. And Gates, all of a sudden, in Battlefield of Time. And so as a result, Gates have an increased importance, as does Battlefield of Time, because they are the most important spots for you to get that stuff unlocked. All right, so now I want to talk about which shadows are the best and why. So each of them have their own perks and benefits, so keep that in mind. So I am going to shoot over to the codex and we are going to go from there. And let's see the shadows in the game. So again, we currently have these ones. I actually don't have Iron. However, Iron is, just for the record, probably one you should be getting really soon. Where a lot of people are going to hit a problem with this is it's like you start off with Egress, right? And then your first shadow unlock probably should be Blades, if for no other reason than it's passive. If for no other reason than it's passive. Scaling off of attack with Sung Jinu, Cha Hae-in, other notable characters like Choi Jung-in, like that is amazing. But the way the game is designed is that you are going to want to have multiple shadows, obviously, but you're going to want to shift your shadow based on the content you're taking on, which hunters you're taking as well. For example, if you're taking on content and you don't have, if you don't have those characters I mentioned, Sung Jinu, Choi Dong-in, Cha Hae-in, those characters, then all of a sudden, if you're taking on something where your primary characters like Baek Yoon-ho, not non-Silvermane because he would be Blades as well, This guy that guy scales off defense, and this guy increases defense. So you want this guy as your primary shadow. Only one shadow passive is active at any given moment, so that does matter. Now, another thing on that same topic is two of the best characters in the game scale off of HP. In fact, several really, really good hunters do as well. Scale off of HP, and that's going to be these two ladies here. They both scale off of HP, and so they're going to do their best with an HP buffing shadow there as well primarily. But again, some of the other primary hunters scale off of defense, and like this guy's got some of the best damage in the game. It all scales off of his defense. This guy scales off of defense. These three are scaling off of attack. Also, again, Sung Jinwoo is also scaling off attack. So like you want blades first, but I'm trying to show you the example of how things change. So anyway, let's go back and we're gonna go to the shadows here, and from here we're gonna just kind of flat out tell you who I would recommend. Again, blades first. Blades has the best passive, just simply because, again, Sung Jinwoo also is never scaling off of anything but attack, at least right now. But I also want to say with him, when he's fully maxed out, he's got this bonus here: damage 293 of the user's attack when using the skill, applies attack increase effect, increases the user's attack by 100%. That's strong, but he also just doesn't have any other utility, which we're going to see actually pop up a little bit with the next shadow. So a lot of people would go for tank next, and the reason they would go for, and he doesn't even need max for this, the reason they would go for tank next is for the stun. Tank has a built-in stun on his attack, and it's a 1 second stun, but that's useful, right? That's useful. It has a ton of utility just being able to stun the boss. It does okay damage, but the stun is the primary thing that's triggering there. So that's where a lot of people are going to go for. I think that he is the most commonly used or selected second choice after blades, right? And like I said earlier, things are kind of interesting with the way that some of the passives and all that stuff work out for other hunters depending on what they're looking for. And then right here, damage up 517 when using the skill, increases defense to all shadows. Okay, so oftentimes your shadows are going to get blown into oblivion, so having this is actually kind of damn strong. Now, obviously, this is very far down the line. Very far down the line. But I do think with how hard it is to get traces, you kind of got to have foresight. You kind of got to say, okay, I'm going to basically min-max Hunter, or a Shadow, excuse me. And if you look right here, this doesn't even apply to the Shadows. So that automatically, again, he just doesn't have the utility that Tank does. But I don't want to knock Blades because he, again, scales off the best stat in the game. So that's his utility. We move over to our boy Egress, who scales based on critical hit rate, which is an amazing skill. Like, having that there, but it's still valuable one here, in my opinion. I think critical hit rate is so easily manipulated on Sung Jinwoo that I don't really know that how much you even, I don't think you really need to invest in it too much in terms of Jinwoo's like actual stat spread, because you can get it from artifacts, the stats on those, just different things. Weapons are doing it. Like, I don't really like crit hit rates, kind of whatever. If it was damage, then there probably is going to be a shadow that comes out with damage in the future. But right here, he's got basically the same thing as Blades for the primary skill there. And then this one here does a bleed. So he ultimately will probably wind up being the best damager simply because of the bleed in aggregate. So keep that in mind. But by default, he's probably, in my opinion anyway, the most underwhelming one. However, I do like the way that he plays with that overall. But again, very far down the line. Now, the last one to look at here is going to be Iron. Iron does a defense decrease, so does pretty terrible damage. Pretty terrible damage. And when it hits, it does a defense decrease of 12% for 10 seconds. So there's that. And then we're going to look at the maxed version of him. This is where he's kind of interesting. So after attacking, damage 432 of the user attack, and then when skill is used, it applies a shield effect. The shield is equal to 10% of all of the user's max HP and is granted to all shadows. So all of a sudden, you're getting a shield and shadow defense, basically. You actually literally get shadow defense with Tank. Between Tank and Iron, your shadows are going to stay on. So in aggregate, they're going to do more damage as opposed to just fizzling out sooner. I don't really know how. I think they only can last for 20 seconds maximum, right? They don't stay very long. But they stay much shorter if they get blown up. You get the point? So I think that those two together is extremely strong as a combination alongside Blades, which unfortunately leaves Egress in the dust. In terms of Tusk, he may get changed, but he was increasing core attack damage. I don't remember other utility on him. Actually, he had a really cool skill. I don't remember too much other utility on him, but I wanted to mainly focus on these characters. If you wanted to unlock Blades and wait for somebody else to come out, then that's kind of what you would do, and that would be fine, right? That would be fine. But the main thing is that they all have their own individual value, right? And like I said, tank is going to be the most commonly chosen second one, but I do think between HP scaling or defense scaling, I kind of like the HP scaling more. I think I would be more interested in going all in on Iron here for the extra shield as well. But at the end of the day, I want to have them both ultimately get there. It's just how long does it take to get there, right? So we're going to actually shoot back over to the Army of Shadows page, and I am going to officially unlock our boy Iron.
Arise.
Now, the next thing with this is be damn careful with what you invest in afterwards. Let's watch this. So cool. So cool. The next thing is to be damn careful with what you invest in afterwards. You have successfully extracted a shadow. Your maximum army levels increased. Cool. So when I first started with Egress, I didn't realize that this was a bottleneck of these things, the traces, and set myself back kinda, but it just depends if I want to go all in on Egress, which I probably will eventually, right? A couple years from now at least, right? Just depends. But be careful with leveling these up because it does require a lot of traces. And like we talked about earlier, traces are hard to come by. So that's pretty much it. Ultimately, you don't really have to do too much else to these guys. I mean, you can advance them here if you want to do that. Obviously, it's not anything wrong with that. That's a good thing to do. You'd make them stronger. It does cost resources, but so what? You want to do that. You want to increase them if possible. But that's pretty much it for the Shadows in Solo Leveling Arise. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.